Welcome everyone to What You Cookin' Willis. I am Willis, and today I am going to be showing you how to do a bone broth that I like. It takes some time to cook. It's easy to cook. It just takes time to cook. I'm going to show you what I put in there and the way I like it. It is very nutritious. There's lots of collagen in there, and proteins, and vitamins, and calcium, and everything that you get from the bones. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do this. What I got here in my little baking pan is I got about a pound and a half of beef bones. And you can see the beef bones, they got some meat left on them. I like the meat on them. A lot of people just use bones, but I like the meat because it gives that broth an extra rich flavor. So yeah, there's some meat on there, but the good bones. About a pound beef bones. And what I do with the bones is I put them in a bowl and I soak them in cold water. And about every 2 hours, I'll take and change the water out, and I do it about 3 times. That way it helps get a lot of the blood out of the meat and the other stuff that gets in there. And into that, on a baking sheet, because we are going to put them in the oven and roast them, I've got a half of a big purple red onion, 4 stalks of celery, 1 carrot, 5 cloves of garlic, and I got just a little inch piece of turmeric. This is a very, very healthy little root here. It's anti-inflammatory, helps digestion. It's just an overall really good healthy food. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these on the little pan here, because I like to roast everything before I do make the bone broth. It just gives it an extra rich flavor. Just throw everything on there, the onions, the garlic, and with the carrot, all you need to do is just give it a quick chop. I don't like the little end piece, but because it's like I said, it's all going to be cooked on the stove in a pot of water and boiled for a long time, so it's all going to turn to mush. Just spread them out, throw in the turmeric, and I got the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to throw this in the oven and probably roast it for about 45 minutes to an hour. And what that does is the heat, it makes the bones dry out and makes them more brittle. And so that is really detrimental to making the bone broth, and I'll explain that when they come out of the oven, whenever we start actually making the bone broth. So I'm going to throw these in the oven, let them roast for 45 minutes to an hour, and then we will come back and I will show you the rest of the process. Okay, everybody, we are back. These bones and the vegetables have been in the oven for about half an hour. The purpose for that is to get the bones really hot, and so when they get in the water, they'll dissolve a lot quicker. Well, they don't dissolve, the proteins and the calcium and the nutrients in the bone comes out easier when they're hot, because it dries the bone, and so they're not wet anymore. So yeah, they are right here. So you can see everything get all turned black. So I'm just going to put them in this pot here with everything, the bones, the vegetables. Just put everything in that pot. And I wouldn't boil some water. So for making bone broth, you don't want to use tap water, because there is chlorine in the water and there's chemicals in there. So you really don't want that in your bone broth, because the purpose of the bone broth is to be for your health. You know, the collagen, it helps with the elasticity of your skin and the joints, and it's just good for you. So you put all the chemicals from the city water or tap water in there, it's just not, it's sort of defeating the purpose of the bone broth. For some reason, the lights in here, they're just glaring really bright, so just forgive that. I don't know what the problem is. So yeah, they're almost all in this pot here. And so this bone broth, you just cover it with enough water to cover the top of the bones. And while it's cooking, you ain't boiling it. It is just simmering low and covered. And you know, you can cook as long as you want. Some people cook it 12 hours. They're looking to get so when it gets cold, it'll congeal and it's a real solid, like a jelly. Me personally, I don't like that, and so I don't cook it that long. But if you're really looking for the collagen content, a lot of people, you can add like chicken bones or some chicken feet, because there's a lot of collagen in there, but I ain't needing that much collagen. So, okay, I got that all in there. And I'm also going to add, I got, about 2, they're little star anise, how you want to pronounce it. I throw them in. If you don't have these, they're not necessary. Some of you even get the powder, put like a half a teaspoon in there, but I just have the whole star anise I'm going to throw in there. And this here is the magic ingredient. It's apple cider vinegar. This is what pulls all of that calcium and stuff out of the bones. It helps dissolve the bones and lets all of the nutrients and minerals out of them. So we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of that in there. And don't worry, you won't taste the vinegar once it's all done. It's just you need it, or else you don't get all that good stuff out of there. Okay, like I said, about 2 tablespoons. And now I've got my hot water here. It don't have to be hot water, but that's what I got. I just boiled it, so I'm just going to put it in here until it covers the top of the bones. So yeah, I just use purified water or boiled water. That way you know all the nasty things that the cities put in their water is not in there. And again, just pour the water in there until it covers all the bones. It keeps the water handy for when it's cooking down. You always want to keep the bones and everything in there under the water submerged. And so if it shows up and the bones start poking back out of the water, just add some more water until the bones are covered up again. That way you always got water, and them bones are always letting out their goodness in them. So what we do now is we just put it on the stove on a low heat. If you want, you can turn it up higher until it starts to simmer. And if you notice, I didn't put no salt or any kind of spices in there. This is bone broth. You can season it afterwards with salt if you want. I just don't put it in there because salt, it just does something to it. And I don't know, it seems not to take out all the collagen and minerals in the bones if you put salt in there. So I never put that in there. I just always salt it after it's done to my tasting. Okay, so I got this on a medium-low heat, and I'm just going to let it sit there and simmer for, with this small bag, probably about 2 hours is all I need it, but you can let it go longer. And so yeah, once it's done there, you take a strainer, a sieve, or a colander, whatever you want to call it, and you strain it all out, and you get all the liquid out of there. And there's going to be a lot of fat and grease in there, because of the bones and the meat. And so what I do is I just put it in a bowl, let it cool on the counter, and then I'll take that and I'll put it in the refrigerator in the icebox overnight. And then the next morning, all that fat will be solidified on the top of there. And you could just take and just poke a hole in there, just remove all that fat out of there, and very, very little fat left in it. It won't be greasy at all. Of course, if you like the fat in there, don't worry about that. But yeah, that's the easy way to get the fat out of there and all the oil. Just let it cool down in a bowl, throw it in the refrigerator overnight. The next day, all that fat will be up to the top. You'll see this little yellow thing, crunchy thing across the top. That's all the fat. You just remove it, put it in a jar, throw it away, feed it to dogs, cat, whatever you want to do with it. So yeah, folks, that is bone broth, the way I make it. There's many ways to do it, but this is the way I do it. So hopefully you try it, you like it. Remember, and always like, subscribe, share. Somebody know these bone broth? Very easy. All right, folks. Till next time, God bless and good eats.